There are some books in life that you'll start reading and then for some reason you're not really feeling it, or life gets in the way, you get too busy, and then you'll stop reading the book and it will remain on your bookshelf for years. And then one day you decide, you know what, I'm going to try and finish that book that I never finished. And so you pick it up again, you read it in its entirety, and you end up really liking it. I just read one of those books. It's called The Nightingale by Kristin. This book was gifted to me by a very dear friend 3 years ago, and I had read, I think, about this much before I decided to stop reading it. I don't quite remember why. I think I just got too busy, or I wasn't really into it. I also found out that it's being made into a movie next year, so I thought it was just perfect timing for me to read it and to then see the film that comes out next year and to be able to compare the two. This novel would be considered historical fiction. It's set in France during the Second World War, so it follows a timeline of about 6 years, from 1939 to 1945, I think, the period during which the Nazis had occupied France. The main protagonists are two sisters, Vianne and Isabelle, who have completely different personalities, and the whole story is jumping between their timelines and their lives as they navigate the war and the kinds of resistance that they engage in. The story starts off with a first-person narrative of an elderly woman who's just had her cancer reappear, and she is starting to now reminisce her past and remember the things that she's been through. I suppose the reader then gets an idea that this could be either Vianne or Isabelle, but it's not revealed until the very end of the story who she is. I thought the plot was really engaging. It was very dramatic in a good way. When I was reading it, like visually as well, it was playing out in my mind as a movie. The characters as well were very compelling. I really felt for most of them, and the author, I think she did a really good job of showing the depth of their personalities and their reasons for the way they were and the way they behaved and the kinds of choices that they made. It explored a lot of really deep, meaningful and sentimental themes like love and sacrifice and selflessness, strength of the human spirit in times of difficulty. Another thing I thought the author did really well was really centering women as very important figures during the war in fighting against hunger, enduring different forms of violence from the Nazis, and doing a lot of the heavy lifting and enduring the burden of keeping their families alive. That was really delicately portrayed, I thought. The writing as well was really beautiful, at times of course very gruesome, brutal and devastating, but also so lovely. Beginning of the story, you see, or you have a picture of this beautiful landscapes in the village. You get like this very calm sense of like serenity when you're reading it, but of course as the war progresses and as the story progresses, that begins to change. The author also did a really good job of showing the different types of resistance that can take place in a war, and she did it through these two sisters who are very different from each other. The elder one is quite mature, responsible, she's a mother, and everything that she does is mostly to keep herself and her family safe in her own quiet way by staying as invisible as she can. Whereas the younger one, Isabelle, she's a free spirit, she's rebellious, but she actively takes part in joining a resistance and becoming a very central figure. I thought that exploration of the different ways in which people endure and resist mistreatment and unfairness and violence was really well done. I think at the same time she explores who ends up actually becoming celebrated and having a legacy. Is it the people who have fought in the war and who have actively been on the front lines, or is it people who have in their own quiet ways still resisted and showed courage by smaller acts of bravery? Overall, I thought it was a really well-written, compelling, emotional, heartbreaking, devastating novel about so many different things. I wasn't really expecting it to bring up tears in me, but the last couple of chapters had me bawling my eyes out. My brother came and asked me if I was sick because I was sniffling so much, and I told him, no, I'm just so sad. This book is so sad. And he just couldn't comprehend that a book would make me cry, but they do, and this one did. I'm really glad that I picked it up again and read it fully, and now I have one less unread book sitting on my shelf. Looking forward to watching the film, which I believe is going to come out next year.